welcome back for another video. We start today on CoinMarketCap and some green in the market. It's been a few days and things are up. Bitcoin is above $3,700, which is a good sign. It's gained around $100 plus dollars over the last few hours. It was still running sideways for about the last couple of days, 48 hours or 72 hours. The market's up roughly about 6 or 7 billion, so very good to see. Bitcoin dominance has dropped, which you can see that from Ethereum up and XRP up, and obviously EOS up. And the only thing is 25 volume is fairly low, to be honest, from Monday. I expected it to be slightly higher, maybe reaching around the 20 billion, but certainly going in the right direction. What are the big winners for today? Ogre, not too sure, I don't know too much about that. Tron, yep, Tron is normally up. We seem to get a lot of buyback into Tron, not sure why today. Hollow, I think I mentioned I want to do a whole separate video on Hollow and a few other coins that are these smaller altcoins, which seem to be a hot topic at the moment. And Ethereum, so good news to see Ethereum up. But we know obviously today's the 14th, we've only got really 48 hours roughly around that, or a little bit more, just for the hard fork to Constantinople. If you haven't done any research of where your money is, please have a look on the exchanges where your money is and make sure they're supporting the hard fork. Most exchanges are, but just to recall and recap, have a look where your money is and just make sure it's in a place where you can get to it afterwards. So we'll just do a new roundup today, and we'll start off with crypto mining malware tops threat index for 13th month running. So no real surprise there. It's basically this article talks about the fact that this Israeli company called Checkpoint is basically works for the government and enterprises globally with over 100,000 organizations report to be currently using the management system. So according to Checkpoint's Global Threat Index for December 2018, the top 3 most wanted malware strains were all crypto jacking related, with CoinHive, a web browser based Monero XMR mining code, seen in the top spot for the 13th consecutive month. Ranked second and third respectively, XMRig, reportedly open source CPU mining software, and XMR mining. It's not going to necessarily steal your cryptocurrency, but it is going to hijack your CPU power and your GPU power. I watched a video by a developer who is on YouTube, and he showed how easy it is to mine Monero through a browser link. It was literally about 4 lines of code. If I can find the video, I will link it in the description, but literally it was 4 lines of code, and it was just a clear browser page which you don't see anything happening, but in the background it's mining Monero and then sending it to a wallet. Obviously with one machine you're not going to produce much, but with thousands of machines you've got a good chance of mining some decent amounts of XMR. And I believe a lot of XMR has been mined. There isn't much percentage left of XMR, and a lot of it's probably because it's still something which is profitable via CPU mining, and a lot of it done by, possibly by malware. We obviously know from last year, I think it was Tesla, who one of the big companies that was attacked by malware, and they found Monero mining taking place on their servers. So obviously someone got very lucky and mined a lot. And there was another article of a Russian IT worker in an investment bank in obviously Russia, and he had been mining it for maybe a year or something, and he walked away with millions of dollars worth of XMR. So it's possible, and like I said, I have a trade for background, and those machines are normally 2 processors with graphics cards, and it wouldn't take much to start a process running. So I'm sure there are other people out there doing something that there shouldn't be, but just keep an eye on your own CPU usage. Make sure you're not being one of the people who are being attacked, because ultimately you're allowing somebody to mine off your machine and wasting your electricity. So keep an eye on a very interesting article. This shows how important at the moment that crypto mining is, and it's still very relevant in 2019. So in a very perverse way, very good to see in a way that it's still number one after 13 months. Not a great celebration, but still showing it's profitable. And we'll move on from that. A great article I found on CoinDesk for HSBC. So HSBC says it settled $250 billion in trades with DLTs, or distributed ledger tech. HSBC, one of the largest banks in the world, announced Monday it settled more than $250 billion in transactions using DLT. The bank said in a press release that it settled 3 million foreign exchange transactions and made a further 150,000 payments using HSBC FX Everywhere platform. The company said it had been using the platform for the last year to orchestrate payments across HSBC's internal balance sheets. HSBC platform has resulted in significant efficiencies and opportunities, the release added. The bank did not specify if FX Everywhere was developed completely in-house or built on an open source protocol. So, very good to see that companies, banks are using DLT. DLT has a slight difference to blockchain. It's kind of more internal use than the way the blockchain would work. But sources that I do know, and I am slightly familiar with HSBC, they have known to be maybe working with or speaking to Ripple. So, I think you just Google HSBC and Ripple and you'll find articles about it. So it's nothing that private. So again, really good to see a bank like HSBC making use of technology, and hopefully for maybe international payments or external payments can start using a token like XRapid or XRP. So and now they've seen the possibilities of using a DLT product or token based or a transfer which is done on sort of a blockchainish type system, how beneficial it is. And I think the article mentions that they don't need to do cross-referencing the payments that have been received, because they can see it all on the DLT. So it's no need to do backup checking or follow-up checking and things like that. So very good to see a bank of HSBC's magnitude making use of technologies that we have out there now. So, and I know other banks are doing similar things. And there's a good point down here. HSBC has hinted at its work with blockchain technology in the past. Last year, HSBC Senior Innovation Manager Joshua Croker said during a media call the company was on the verge of launching pilot programs to organize blockchain transactions. At the time, he cited a specific project aimed at digitizing letters of credit. So yeah, a bit cryptic there. So very interesting article that HSBC are looking at it. Also, we know other banks like Barclays are also invested in blockchain. I have a friend of mine who works at Barclays, and it's a big thing. And also the other smaller investment banks are also looking at blockchain technologies and how it can benefit them. So not necessarily using XRP or Stellar or any of those tokens, but again, the market is very interested in this technology, and that's why when people say stupid things like crypto is going to die or Bitcoin is going to go to zero, when you see things like this, and the HSBC has been looking at this for years, and the fact that it's been using it for a year, which means it's been researching it for a number of years, crypto is going nowhere, and it's very evident to see that from this article. So yes, very good news today for a Monday to see that. Very interesting read. I don't want to spend too much time on this article, but again, we're still waiting for the US government to end this shutdown, and we obviously know it's causing a negative effect on the crypto market because of notably backed and the CFTC approval. Now, and also the ETF with Bitcoin. So there was some sort of rumor where in the legislation of US Constitution or something along those lines, if there's a shutdown for too long and a government body cannot give a decision on a filing, then it automatically gets approved. Now, I think that would work on the basis that there was nobody to even look at this. And I think the idea is there are some people still in the SEC office. So we've got the upcoming approval for the Bitcoin ETF in Feb. I wouldn't start holding my breath on the basis that it's going to get approved. But we know it's having a negative effect, and I'll read as quotes. Notably, the launch of Back's Bitcoin futures was delayed in part by the company's inability to secure approvals before the 22nd of December 2018, when the shutdown began. Woohoo! The platform created by Intercontinental Exchange, is holding is in a holding pattern until regulators can open a 30-day public comment period. A new launch date for the platform, which is most recently, was set for January 24th. So yes, 24th was a day I had in my countdown on my phone. I was very excited to see where the project was going to be going, and we knew it was going to definitely happen, and then we get a shutdown. Definitely left of field, a curveball which has come in and kind of hit us on the side. So the article goes on to say, we made great progress in December. Backed CEO Kelly Loeffler wrote in a post published on Medium on New Year's Eve, and will continue to onboard customers as we wait the green light. So good thing is, a CEO like Kelly Loeffler and Back generally have been very vocal about what's been going on. It makes us believe there's very much still interest in this project, and they're going nowhere. It seems like they need to get this approval. They've got a lot of money invested. I read an article today. One of the richest men in Hong Kong has invested a lot of money invested some of his money into Backed. He's obviously a billionaire. He didn't get there by chance, so he's expecting Backed to be very lucrative for him. And they obviously raised $182 million in a week for worth of funding. So very positive on that side. We just don't know how long this is going to last. If Donald Trump doesn't get his way, he's probably going to almost whether he's going to throw his toys at the pram or whether he'll get his way, we just don't know yet. He's looking for around $5.5 billion. I don't want to talk too much politics on this channel, but he wants around $5.5 billion for this wall that was supposed to be apparently funded by Mexico originally, and the Democrats and the parties are saying no, it's a waste of money. We can pay for a lot of other things. So they're not budging, and he's not budging, and this is resulted in something like 1 million workers in America not being able to get a paycheck because governments had shut down. So we feel very sorry for those guys. They've been caught in the middle. They shouldn't have to deal with this, but we await the decision on the shutdown, which will, once that opens, all the floodgates will reopen, and hopefully we can get back soon after that. And I hear it's not a big process in terms of the CFT approval, and we're still working the basis. It may just be a couple of days or a couple of weeks of delay, not months. And I mentioned in the previous video, I didn't want to be talking about Backed in March and waiting on its approval. So let's hope it's not going to be a shutdown like Donald Trump said for years and years, but more, let's hope it ends soon. And we move on. So Tim Draper in the news again, and this time his company, Draper Associates, leads $5 million funding round for blockchain-based ID platform. So Iceland's blockchain-based identity verification platform, Authentic, has raised $5 million in a funding round led by Draper Associates and Capital 300, the American tech website VentureBeat reported on January 14th, today. Following the 2-week funding round, the company revealed the intention to conduct the second closing. Okay, not that important. I think the main thing about what this company does is, within the latest, Authentic has touted its new identity verification tool powered by artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. The service reportedly enables users to be verified with governmental facial recognition algorithms in less than 60 seconds. What's interesting about this article is we know that Tim Draper is very wealthy. He's worth about $340 million. He's a very, very strong advocate of Bitcoin. I've even seen him wear Bitcoin ties. So yeah, definitely a pro-Bitcoin individual. And I would like to do more research in this company because it's something that Tim Draper's invested in. Then surely it's going to be something which is lucrative, and something which is governmental is, I think, is going to be something where healthcare and government roles or government sort of utilities are going to be something which is really going to benefit individuals, but also the crypto market. There's a cryptocurrency which I'm not affiliated in any way, and I'm not promoting it, but it's called Encash, and I think it's an Indian-based cryptocurrency, and they were working on sort of similar identity recognition in India, and I believe they actually had these sort of masts or points of information that they were using, and it was actually being used in India. They wanted to roll it out globally. So something where governments can make use of, or when it's government facial recognition algorithms, places like airports could be using it, or any sort of verification tool. They're going to make people listen and governments to understand, hey, this is something we need, and if this can be not unhackable, but more like its integrity to be kept perfect at all time. And the biggest thing with a government databases is that the government never has enough money to audit them or check the integrity. So you've got these, you have decentralized. In a way, you kind of need a centralized system for this because you need information there. And what you do find with, and what I mean by that is when you find institutions within a government, like you may have healthcare, the hospitals and the dental surgeries, and the driving license agencies and the passport agencies, they all have their own systems, and they may all have facial recognition. They may all have faces of you, but they're not using a central system in terms of a something like a blockchain to pick up this information. And if a government can see it can save them time and money to use these tools, then they will, not necessarily outsource it, but whether they can use these services or this blockchain or this token or however authentic utility works. And that's what I think is really going to work. I remember listening to something last year, and it really made me think, to get companies and governments involved and countries involved, you need things which is going to benefit them. And if they can figure out how to sort out information on databases which are held in hospitals, and you can use it anywhere. For example, in the UK, which I don't know if it's the same elsewhere, if you have a child in the UK or you're pregnant, you get a book, and it's got all the information about the female appointments and what's been happening on her, time at hospital. Now, if she loses that book, nobody else has access to that. Nobody knows the history. If that woman goes off to a different hospital or different region, part of the country, they don't know the history until they see that book. So when you start talking about governmental implementations or things which can be used or integrated into a system, or necessarily were created for that but can be transferred into that, then that's a real world solution. And again, I keep saying it, real world solutions are a big emphasis on 2019 and 2020. The market's down, but it doesn't stop these projects coming up. And the fact that someone like Tim Draper has been involved in it, surely something I will maybe spend a little bit more time looking at. And maybe if I can make a separate video about, like I mentioned earlier, about a few cryptocurrencies that I've looked at that I've not necessarily spoken about on this channel, I can do some research and then make a video. So, a very good read. Again, I'll link this in the description, but I shall continue. To end on not necessarily a good thing, but an article which is on Cointelegraph. Denmark's tax agency seals authority to collect data from the 3 crypto exchanges. And I think this is kind of like emphasize why proof of keys is important necessarily. Denmark's tax authority has been authorized by the country's tax council to obtain information regarding all trades of cryptocurrencies across 3 domestic crypto exchanges. And an official announcement published on the agency's website reported this development on January 14th. The authorization means that the 3 unspecified Danish crypto exchanges now have legal disclosure obligations to hand over identity information that includes names, addresses, and personal tax numbers, as well as details of all crypto transactions made on their platform between 1st Jan 2016 and December 31st, 2018. Now, anyone listening who is based in Denmark or has traded on Danish exchange, obviously take note. And this read goes 2 ways. Why it's important to have decentralized exchanges. Sorry, I can't say that word. DEX and proof of keys. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing, but I guess the whole point of cryptocurrency was the complete opposite of this. That yes, of course, we should be paying taxes if we're making profits and turning a profit or transacting our money back into fiat currency. Then rightfully we should be paying tax on these gains. I'm not advocating anything illegal, but what I don't want is an unfair tax system on cryptocurrencies. If it's going to be worked in the UK, then capital gains tax is what you would necessarily pay on this. Obviously on the basis of here's your initial investment and this is what you've made profit on, and I'll pay tax on that. I don't want this unfair tax rules for cryptocurrencies, but it's interesting how they're going to do this on decentralized exchanges where no one really owns it. So the government's got a lot of catching up to do what it's planning to do. If they allowed more regulation and they just made people mine at ease, then I certainly wouldn't mind paying tax on my earnings once we've got some clarity from governments and cryptocurrency is being used as a payment method. Then yes, of course. But at the moment, we're still waiting on regulation. It's very interesting how governments can pick and choose where they want to regulate or where they want to get information. So didn't want to spend too much time on this, but it's a very interesting article, and whether we're going to get more of the same. And I think the article does actually go into mention and I'll read. Back in July 2017, the IRS had required that major United States crypto Coinbase hand over detailed information on every one of its 500,000 users in an attempt to prevent tax evasion. However, a court order in 2017 reduced this number to 14,000 high transaction users. So again, we don't want people not paying tax, and we should pay tax where we're due. And it's obviously important for the just country we live in or the area we live in that improves life for everybody else, which is why we pay tax, which is fair enough. But again, being careful where your money is kept. This was for the United States and it wasn't for other regions. But it's more of the question to the government: what will they do with the DEX and people holding the money in ledgers? These certain dates they might be asking for, that people might have pushed their money off them and not storing them offline wallets. There's a lot of places you can buy cryptocurrency which aren't even in the UK, which aren't even in Denmark, which aren't even in Europe, which are other countries like South Korea, like Binance, and I think probably Binance is the biggest now. So I don't know how cross-border jurisdiction is going to work if the US wants to know about American customers. But again, just knowing where your money is and keeping an eye on this, especially if you live in Denmark. So I'll end it there. A few good stories there, and let's have a quick look at the market again. Where's the market? So Yes, it's remaining stable-ish. Nothing suddenly just happened in the last 24 minutes. So I'll end on that. Hopefully tomorrow will be a continuation of upsurge. I don't think we've gone to the bottom yet, and we're still getting a lot of reports of that, but Bitcoin's certainly up above 3,700. So I believe this was no. So kind of we need to get to this $3,800. So if we could gain another $100, it will be good to show us we've got a bit of resistance in the market in Bitcoin. And then we need to push back up here again over 4,000. So let's just get to 3,800, and then the next step will be up to 4,000, and then back to where we were. If we can look at it, I'm not going to show on this. Oh God, it's been a long time since we were over 4,500. So I think it's around here. Yeah, there. So yeah, so we can see what stages we need to get to. So start showing a bit of bull run incentive, or not incentive, signs of bull run, I should say. Just get above 4,500, and then that's the big one. I think that will be 5,500. If we can get above that, then we'll be in showing signs of a bull. So a bit way to go, but this market is unpredictable. So let's hope and pray we wake up tomorrow, or I'll certainly wake up tomorrow and see more green, and I would want to see it over 3,800. So whatever you guys are doing, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys on the next video.